Okay, I think that's fine then. I've got it on record and screen sharing's up, so should be ready.
Sounds good.
Hi, Manveer. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
You just well, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Scott. I'm going to be hosting this one.
Great.
Are you going to be using any slides?
No, I'm just gonna chat away, if that's all right.
That's absolutely fine. Yep.
Great.
Yeah. I just check as well. It's not on my notes, but is it University of Warwick you're studying?
So I just graduated from the University of Warwick. Yeah.
Oh, you graduated. Oh, that's why they've taken it off then. I see. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So just going to introduce you as a student climate commissioner then. That's
Right.
okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And very quickly, just so I make sure I've got some right ideas of what I'm going to be talking about. What exactly do you think you'd be looking for from this? Is it just kind of the student perspective on universities and climate action? Is it as broad as that?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I've got it down here as 5 actions, but if you have more or less than 5, it's fine.
Okay,
I'll
great.
just give you the main actions if you want. So you've got Steve Frampton, who's not here yet. So he's going to talk about like leadership and institutional level, what they think they should do, or what they can do, and you're going to talk about what the students should do. Basically.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So do you want me to introduce it as top 5 things or just main?
I'd say more generally, please. So thank you.
That's absolutely fine. So Steve is going to go first, so you'll have a couple of minutes to think about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, just making sure, changing it up slightly. Hi, Steve.
Good morning.
How are
Morning.
you?
I'm very well, Manveer. How are you?
Great. Yeah, it's a cold day, but it's a good one. It's nice and bright.
It is. It's cold and windy. Whereabouts are you today?
I'm over in Leicester, back home.
Ah, a place I know well. I did my degree there.
Very nice.
Yeah. And whereabouts in Leicester? 'Cause I used to live in Oadby.
It would be quite a nice area.
It
Rushmead,
is.
so next to Thermiston,
Oh, I know. Yeah,
the
yeah.
north side.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, good for you. Good for you. And I'm not quite sure of the format of this today, so I'm hoping Scott, as our host, will be able to tell us.
Yep, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with you, Steve. Going to go through the college side from institutional point of view, and we'll go to Manveer for the student point of view.
Absolutely.
Perfect. We're just going to start in just a couple of minutes. There's just a few people coming in late. Should have about 20, and I think we're at 14 at the moment. So I'm just going to hang on for another 30 seconds or so. And just
Yeah.
see.
Is there anything specifically you want us to focus on, Scott, or is it just our perspectives?
Yeah, it's your perspective and sort of your top actions to take from a leadership and college point of view. Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, sorry for the delay. I'll just, if people are waiting in the waiting room, I just have to admit everyone manually. So we'll start in
Yeah,
just
that's absolutely fine. You got a busy day ahead, Manveer?
Yeah, I'm managing quite a big project at the moment at work, so I've got to get a change request through that looks like it's gonna ruffle a few feathers, but we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely.
And how about
Hope
yourself?
that goes well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm helping my ex-college with a merger proposal today, and I've got to write a piece for, because the AOC are likely to, as an organisation, sign up to the UN Charter as well. So I'm writing a piece for them today as well.
That sounds very interesting.
Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
it's a good day.
I think that's everyone here now, guys. So I think we can start.
Okay, Scott.
So welcome everyone. So my name is Scott. I'm with EAUC Scotland, and this is our fifth and final SDG and Cup of Tea webinar on SDG 13 climate action. So you're all currently on mute. That's just to minimize the background noise. If you have any questions whilst people are speaking, if you just pop them in the chat, and then we'll get to them at the end. So the format is we're going to have Steve Frampton speaking first. So Steve is with the Association of Colleges, and we're going to have him talk about the sort of the top actions worth considering from a sort of institutional and leadership point of view for climate action. Then we're going to go on to Manveer Gill, who's a student climate commissioner and recent graduate of University of Warwick. He's going to tell us the top actions from a student point of view. So we're just going to go directly from Steve onto Manveer and then on to questions right at the end. So Steve, if you're ready, do you want to take us off?
Yeah, thank you, Scott, and good morning, everybody. And it's nice to be involved in something in the UK, because I've had the privilege of being in New York virtually this week for the New York climate event, which was very interesting. My background is I was a college principal, principal of Portsmouth College in Hampshire, and then I was elected by my peers to be the president of the Association of Colleges for 2 years, and I'm now the FE commissioner on the FE-HE Climate Commission, which is the first commission which involves FE and HE on any theme in the UK's history, and it's great that it's this. I suppose my perspective on it is I've come at it perhaps from an unusual perspective. I come to this issue primarily, and Anne Manveer will speak more on this in a minute, from the point of view of how it is going to affect our students, current and also future. This week at the New York event, there was a brilliant piece of research that Zurich Insurance have commissioned. They'll be running their first Youth Against Carbon conference next month, and they sampled a survey of 2.5 million young people, 7 to 17. The finding was, not surprisingly, this is the major issue that they see as important in their lifestyles. They see COVID as a blip, and they want radical change, curriculum change on climate at their schools and colleges. that really just confirms everything that I've known from meeting college students and working with them for 40 years and in my role as AOC president. So the first thing, and it might surprise you as an institutional leader, that I would want to focus on is I want a radical review of the curriculum. And I mean a really radical review of the curriculum. I would argue the curriculum that we've currently got doesn't serve young people well, particularly on this agenda, and actually more generally, and is also assessed in a radically poor way. We now have the technology to improve on that. So my first main action would be a call for a radical curriculum review, co-constructed with students and not imposed on them, and recognizing the advances in technology that would permit a really interesting review of the assessment of that curriculum as well. And if we could achieve that, I think we would achieve something very significant. Not surprisingly, the other actions I think that I would like to talk about are a bit more predictable, really. We have a lot to learn from the Scottish colleges in England and the HE sector. We're, as the English FE sector, quite significantly behind the brilliant work that you've been doing over the last 4 to 5 years. We don't have statutory audits of progress on climate change. We certainly don't have any requirement to sign up to any targets, primarily because the English colleges haven't been funded for this for the last 9 years. So what we've done, with the help of our student commissioners, brilliant people like Manveer, is to construct an FE roadmap for our sector, which will allow people to access a practical plan, no matter where they are at the beginning of the journey or quite advanced on the journey, to work with their students and their governors and their communities to take the radical action that we need. Certainly that would be signing up to the UN commitment. It would be about designating key people in the organization, governors, perhaps the state managers, perhaps, and hopefully, and including student governors in this, to create a group that will take the roadmap forward. And I think those would be the main things that I would say on behalf of the English colleges, because we have a lot of learning and catching up to do from our Scottish partners and also from our HE sector. I'll stop there because I'm very keen to take some questions. Manveer, I think it's over to you now.
Yeah, just go straight to Manveer and come back at the end.
Great. So hi, everyone. I'm Manveer. Yeah, I just graduated from the University of Warwick, and I'm now working for an environmental charity called CDP, and we get companies to disclose data on their environmental performance. So that's quite an exciting thing to get into straight after university. And yeah, so I'd like to focus on, I'd say, 3 actions for students, or 3 kind of categories of actions. The first of which is to try and work alongside your university to enact the change that you want to see. And that might not always seem like it's possible. It might seem like the avenues for those change are limited, but more often than not, there are individuals out there, even when those avenues aren't clear, there are individuals who are willing to listen and help make that change happen. For example, the University of Warwick announced a climate emergency about a year ago now and set goals of net zero scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. And that actually happened as a result of a campaign that was led by a small team of students that realized that the university wasn't doing what they wanted to see. So make your university listen to you. And that might be difficult at times, but this is where it's worth seeking the support of your fellow students, people who you know are also passionate and keen to make things happen. So that's number 1. And on to number 2, I would say, just in terms of kind of your day-to-day student experience, get involved with societies that care about these issues. That's where you'll find like-minded students who also care about these things. And that's where you'll be able to form these teams of students that can approach issues that you're passionate about, even if it's not something as, say, high level as a net zero goal, but maybe it's something about implementing change at the ground level at your university, something that you see actually, perhaps there's a lot of plastic waste at your university and you really want to solve that issue. And so get involved with those different societies, the projects they're running and the events that they hold. And actually, as a result, you gain a lot of valuable experience, and that's really transferable moving forward then, when you're moving onto your career. And finally, study and do what you enjoy, because there's a lot of ways in which you can be kind of part of the solution to our climate kind of emergency. And there are a lot of roles out there that are needed. And so if you can come from a position of passion and a position of interest into those roles, then you can help implement change across across the world, hopefully. But as Steve mentioned, there really is an opportunity here to press your institution to learn what you think is important, perhaps to learn and take modules and obtain the skills that you think are important for your future. And so don't be afraid to push your university and say, I want to learn about this, and we want to make this happen. So those are the three things from me.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, guys. I just say as well, if whilst you're typing any questions in, if you'd also have a look at our Slido page and see the link on the left-hand side, sli.do, and the code is SDG13. That's just for a bit of feedback on our speakers and what they've said today. And just to touch on one point that Manveer made there about sort of students and their engagement, to tell you as well that the EAUC Climate Conference in November is now free to all students to attend all sessions. And there's a couple of sessions in there on student engagement and student action. So if you want to share that with your students and indeed with your staff, that would be great as well. So we had one quick question here. Steve, can you share the link to the Zurich study?
Yes, by all means. What I'll do, I'll send it through to Fiona's asked for it as well at the EAUC. So I'll send it through to Fiona today, and I'll get that, and she can send it on to everybody.
That is perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think on that theme, I mean, the conference is scheduled for next month, and it's called Youth Against Carbon Conference. And Greta Thunberg will be speaking, and hopefully by then she might have won a Nobel Prize, but we shall see.
Okay, does anyone else have questions? You can either raise your hand or you can unmute yourself and ask if you like.
If not, Scott, I've got a question for the participants, and that's it. I'd be very, very keen to know from them what's actually happening in the institutions that they're in at the moment.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Does anyone like to come in on that?
How do I put my hand up?
Richard, is that you? If you want to just speak, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to come in and tell you about what we're doing in York. So at the moment, we're just setting out a new sustainability strategy. So that's largely based on the SDGs, and the work that we've done today is to look across the SDGs and look at the ones that we can really focus on and make a difference with. So we've selected 5 plus one that we've created around research. So we've got a focus around that, and then we're just looking at some of the goals and targets that we might set. So we did a lot of work pre-COVID about setting goals and targets, but some of those we've already exceeded. So home working's great, and other areas like that. So we'll have to think again around some of those targets that we've set, and then we're looking at setting a net zero target. But we're just deciding as a university what that means for us. So are we going to set it around scope 1 and 2? Is it going to be scope 1, 2 or 3? Is it going to include the university or the university and all its subsidiaries? So there's a lot of thinking going on around that, but we're hoping by mid next year we'll have it nailed down, and we'll have a really good solid roadmap to go forward with that's got a good backbone. So we're not just going to say we're going to be net zero. We're going to try and have a good plan behind that as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Richard. Adam, do you have a question as well? I think you're on mute, Adam. No, no, still mute. If you just want to type the question, we can just ask it. You just type it in the chat box.
Is that any better?
That's you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's showing not muted, but I don't think it was selected properly. Yeah, I was just going to follow on from Steve's question, really, and just sort of update where we were at Harper Adams. Sorry, where we are at Harper Adams. So very similar to Richard, really. And I think probably a lot of institutions are coming to the end of current carbon management plans. That sort of time frame sort of, you know, permits for the sector, doesn't it, really? So likewise, we have just signed off a new carbon management plan for 2020 to 2025. Within that, we are committing to exploring and moving towards carbon neutral by 2030 for scope 1 and 2. Haven't really an idea of how we're going to get there yet, but a lot of the carbon management plan frames that in terms of better understanding where we are, and also really beginning to understand our scope 3 emissions as well. So post 2030, we can start to commit to scope 3 emissions as part of that climate neutrality. We are also looking likewise to start a new sustainability strategy for the institution. And like Richard, really starting to sort of focus on the SDGs and what they mean to the institution. So yeah, pretty much in a very similar situation, really. And also looking at what opportunities may come about in terms of the decarbonisation fund that is due an imminent announcement. A lot of our carbon management plan coincidentally focuses on building management system, heating controls, LED lighting. The institution has kind of done things back to front. We have solar arrays, we have gas CHP, we have district heat networks, we have a biomass boiler. So a lot of the sort of decarbonisation stuff we already have, all the lower carbon stuff. So we're looking at a lot more sort of good housekeeping operational controls. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And had a point there from Tamara as well. Similarly, working on carbon management plan and revising their strategy, and have a new corporate strategy that includes sustainability across research and curriculum. So that's great. Lucy, did you have a question as well? A couple of minutes left. Nope, okay.
Scott, I think my challenge, and I think Manveer's would be as well, that as a final thought from perhaps both of us, because we work together weekly, so we know each other well, is I would challenge the participants today. What are they doing to make sure these are co-constructed with their students? And what are they doing to make sure this involves curriculum change as opposed to just estates, procurement? What are we doing about the curriculum and involving our students in all of these processes? Probably too big an issue to deal with today, but one I'd like people to take away. And Manveer's smiling because we both share this very great passion for ensuring we're not doing to our students, we're working with them, and remembering this is a much bigger agenda item than it is for them than it is for us. And it's particularly going to be the major issue for all of our future students.
Yes, we've got about a minute or two left. Manveer, I just wonder if you want to come in on that point. How would you sort of recommend you do that? How would you recommend you sort of work with the institution in that way? What's your top tip on that?
Well, I think ideally we really need to be working with academics, because they're the people who need to actually teach these curriculums or curricula. But there's also the problem that some academics don't have the necessary training, or perhaps always the understanding of how to link their discipline to the issue of climate change or environmental sustainability. So I think working alongside and with academics there to support them, and also because undoubtedly academics are some of the most interested in making this happen, because they care a lot, or at least from my interactions, I can say that.
Thank you. Got a couple of points in the chat there. Yeah, Suzanne says her main focus is curriculum. Would love a session on this. We got Tamara, have a sustainability group for students to input into development. That's a great idea. Yeah, and just general agreement with what you said there, Manveer. So we've got about 1 minute left. Anyone have any final questions they want to come in with? Phil?
Just a question for the commissioners, really, from a college perspective. First of all, in terms of an update, we've just tentatively, although very positively, started conversations with our local university, because we fully recognise the expertise in universities, or certainly my local university compared to the college. So I'm curious how many universities are reaching out to colleges. I think that would be quite interesting. I think in terms of our sector, we suffer from extreme overregulation, being driven to a significant extent, not totally, but to a significant extent from centre. And I wonder commissioners' views, whether they feel they're having any influence on the soon to be published, allegedly, white paper in October, the Commission for the Future, which I know are engaged because I'm kind of part of that. So really there's two lines of inquiry, not necessarily for now, Scott, but to what extent are universities reaching out to local colleges, and to what extent commissioners feel climate is recognised or likely to be recognised through the white paper.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. And university and college coordination is, yeah, a really important thing going forward, and I think something we do need to encourage more of. Tends to be quite patchy. Steve, do you want to just finish up?
Yeah, great question, Phil, and lovely to see you today. And I think the two are inextricably linked, unless HE works with the FE sector and their local colleges on this agenda. We won't have that powerful voice within the white paper, Phil. I mean, government are well aware this is the very first ever FE-HE commission since the history of it all started. Isn't that fantastic? But it's got to be seen to be making a difference. We're a combined sector with alumni of 5.5 million people, arguably the best educated 10% of our country, and therefore really should have a powerful and influential voice. What government are expecting us to do is to use the expertise that the HE sector has had for 4 to 5 years to work with the FE sector and those FE roadmaps to assist them with that journey. It's a brilliant opportunity for collaboration. It's a gift, to be honest, and the commissioners and the universities involved on the commission are seeing that. I think what we need to do, Phil, is to get that more broadly out there, and it would be great if the participants today were to engage with their local FE sectors and say, we know there's an FE roadmap for climate change. We've got some expertise. It would be great if we were working on this agenda together, because we all need to solve the issues here. It's not whether the HE sector does well or the FE sector does well. And actually, we should be reaching down as FE to our secondary and primaries as well, because they're doing fantastic work on it. So I think it's a great question, Phil. And I think if we were to leave with two final thoughts, let's HE and FE work together on this agenda, and let's co-construct it with our students. Because we all came into this business, didn't we, to work with young people and develop their skills and their interests. And that's what we are as educators, surely. So, Scott, thanks for the opportunity today, and really, really good debate.
And thank you very much to Manveer and to Steve. Please fill in the Slido poll as well. It's at the top of the chat, SDG 13. Please share the Climate Commission, the Climate Conference, particularly with your students, with your staff as well. Just a quick question there, Suzanne, the HE roadmap as well, which I believe it's on its way. Yes, Suzanne, there will be an HE roadmap as well. But thank you very much to our speakers, and I hope you all have a great day. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Nice
Bye-bye.
to see you, Manveer. Take care.
Yes.
Have a good
See you
day.
later, Steve.
Yeah. Take care, Phil. Thanks, Scott. Bye-bye.
Bye.